let's talk about from the start. When you register your company, right? There are some persons on tonight who they're in business and they say, I'm operating a business, may I run my business? I'm a businessman, I'm an entrepreneur. But when you check company's office, nothing down there. There's nothing on paper.
I have come across a lot of that, Keisha.
Yeah, so you're on play business, dolly house business. Because unless you are registered, right, with the company's office of Jamaica, you are not a real business.
And I just want to add to that as well. So a lot of persons go in, they actually do the first registration. But if you're a limited liability company, there's an annual registration that is required. That is, your annual returns must be done every single year. Without that, you can't get a letter of good standing. And a lot of these institutions now, to get a loan, to open a bank account, to do business with certain creditors, you need to have a letter of good standing and a tax compliance certificate. And they pretty much go hand in hand. On the company's office side, the letter of good standing say, hey, I have filed, I'm up to date, and I have all my things and rules in that doc at the company's office. If you're out, which means that you have an anniversary date for registration, if you have not filed within that anniversary date, you're liable to pay additional charges for that. So when a company's office registration might cost you 12,000 natural if you're on time, sometimes it goes up to 25,000 if you're late. So you want persons, and of course we assist you with that. We want persons to tell you that, hey, you're out, you need to go in and do your annual returns. For those persons that are sole proprietors or partnerships, they have a registration that expires every 3 years. And even that, we are on top of that for you. So you have to ensure that your registrations are up to date. And so you have to know the anniversary dates and file accordingly.
So the thing also, persons out there who are, the play business persons, you will not be able to build wealth without a business structure. There's a reason why you see the top man, them a walk around with a licensed company, because when you are registered, it opens you up to loans, business grants, procurement. You can get government contracts.
Correct.
Nobody's giving Johnny an inside company any form of contracts or any deals. So let's talk about how can persons register. How would you help them? What would they need to do? And maybe a better question, you're going to help them. What is the best business structure to have?
So one of the first things you need to ascertain, Keisha, is what type of registration that they're interested in doing. You're just starting out, you don't have the wealth, you're building wealth, you're young and all of that. So we need to understand what type of registration you'd like to do. Am I doing a partnership? Am I doing an LLC, which is a limited liability company? Am I doing a sole proprietorship? There's also an unlimited liability company. Or am I doing corporations? So we give the guidance as to the stage that you are at and what we think would work out better for you based on where you're going and your trajectory. It makes no sense that you're just starting out and you have the administrative fees of over 25,000 or 29,800 to be paid at the company's office in the first instance for a limited liability when you're just starting out. It makes sense that you do that sole proprietorship until you have grown and gathered enough wealth to then transfer into a limited. So we have to make that assessment. You need the name that you'd like to call that company. The sole proprietorship is just a business name. So you and the company are one. You don't have a distinction per se, but you probably want to call the company Wealth Builders. So you would be Kesha Christie trading as Wealth Builders. So there's no separation with the sole proprietorship. So you have to have a name or 2 or 3 names, because you might go with a particular business name and it is already taken. So what we do is that we assist you with that process. We reserve a name. There's a payment that you make for the reservation of a name. And if that goes through, we go through with the entire process. But the first step that must be done is to assess where you are now. Because as with Profit Jumpstarter, Keisha, and our relationship, we're building wealth. It makes no sense to put money where we're not going to get the returns on it and all of that.
Yes.
So we look and we actually make, and we do an analysis and see where you are, what best suits you right now. And then we advise you accordingly. Based on that, you come with your name, and then that's it.
Yeah, so that makes a lot of sense, because I have seen where if you're running a business and you need a bank account, they're gonna ask for the registration and they need a TCC. The bank asks you for that. If you don't have that, you're not getting any business account, which means you can't collect revenue or bare cash sales you're gonna do. And if you're operating at a certain level, certain people are coming with card.
Exactly.
So you can't be doing anything, you're limiting yourself. No, one of the things also is, as we come to year end, we have to be mindful about tax planning. So registering is one thing, right? Tax planning. So I know pretty soon, me and you, because Dr. Kesha is going to be doing our filing, we're going to be talking about 2023 and planning for my filing, because me, now I not catch me last minute and I end up having to pay more than I should over in taxes. So we have to think this time of year, every wealthy person is thinking, all right, tax planning, because maybe I need to make some moves before December, tie up some things, show some more things before year end, because come December 31st, to January morning, you can't do nothing in January. I said, oh, it's 2023. Don't work. So let's talk about, a company that's running. What should they be thinking about now? Because the aim of business is profit.
Correct.
We're in it, and there's a name with reason why I say Profit Jumpstarter Academy. A joke thing.
I love it, Keisha. And you hit the nail on the head, and I love how you did that, because one of the things I want to use this forum to do as well is tell you the need for planned taxes. It's not tax evasion or tax avoidance mean having the correct strategies. And one of the things, as Keisha would have mentioned, we look at the time now, it's November. So that is why we also have this opportunity now where we're giving you 15% off, because it's tax planning time. What we do at that time, we say, hey, my wealthy, I get investment from here, I have revenue from there, I get a little passive income there. All of this came up to that. KCLH, I only have 10,000 for pay. How do I shuffle this around to ensure that I'm compliant and I won't fall under the red flag or the radar, and I can safely, because remember, some people just jump it over and interfere, and I can safely make adjustments for the following year. It's a word called deferral, right? In accounting and taxation. How do I do that? Now, Keisha, we have to sit down and look through your books. We have to know, say, hey, boy, we reached 20 million, right? You say, no, but we have another property to look at. So we can only afford to give the government 20,000 or 100, whatever it is. When we talk, we tell it.
We're not disclosing any actual numbers here.
No, we're not
watching.
Hypothetically, guys, hypothetically. So you come in and you say to me, I have $1 million now, but I see a property over there for 20,000, and I would like to be compliant and ensure that I am doing everything properly. There are strategies at KCLH to say, hey, Keisha, instead of putting this right here, so put it over there. So 25, it's coming up. Let's move this. Let's shift that. Strategies that we can employ to ensure that you are never, ever, you're being compliant and you're ensuring that your taxes are filed and you will never come up under any scrutiny. That is what we do at KCLH. So now is a time where you plan. You don't wait until next year you come in and say, oh, why you hold your head? Because the other thing now is that the tax department is getting so sophisticated. So you need to partner with persons who know the strategies, know the insights of what is happening and what they're looking for, to ensure that you are doing the filing properly and that you can never, ever come up to scrutiny. So the planning now comes in. You bring in your documents, and then I think that is one of the things we need to know the documents that we need to present to your accountant. Your accountant is like your lawyer, you know. And
Yeah,
you
well, your best friend, the money people, them are best friend. I'm sure, Dr. Kesha, some people you and them are best friend because them call it every day, and those
yes,
are your
man.
wealthier clients.
Yes, man. Yes, man. So guess what? We are your best friends. You come in and you say to us, okay, this is how everything look like, you know. It is good if you have it on QuickBooks or whatever you have done your accounting on. You come to me and say, this is it, you know. What can I do? This is my plan. And we say, okay, what do you plan to do? What do you want as what is your vision for this now? We then say, okay, put in an additional X, we move it. We give you the strategies to ensure that you correctly move it, or you correctly classify something here, you classify something there, and you achieve your objective. Remember, one of the things that we're doing at Profit Jumpstart and Building Wealth is to ensure that we don't give more than we ought to. So Keisha would have spoken about those accountants that just deal with compliance. We deal with relationship. We deal with assisting with wealth building. So instead of putting an additional $10 here, we can say, okay, go, and Keisha spoke last week, not last week, before, about ensuring that you have that 20%. This amount that you can save from the taxation can be at 10 or 15% to put towards that 20% that you need to be doing on a monthly basis. So we have to be planning. We have to look at where we are. What additional expenses? Did I remember to classify this expense? You know that I actually would have had a bad debt there, but me not classify it. The person now pay me back the money. I say, yeah, run up and down every minute. I say, the person now pay me, them owe me. Write it off.
See
If
there?
you come in the year after, you understand, Keisha, those are some of the things that persons might forget to look at when doing their operations and their business. So instead of us saying, okay, and grumble about this person not paying, write it off this year. If it is that they pay the other year, then you put it back. But don't have it sitting there. And you could have moved it to reduce your tax liability and put it over to get additional revenue, or put it as an additional investment. So we have to be very careful of how we are dealing with the planning for taxation, because it is something that we must look at as business operators.
So, and the simplest way to put it, we play chess, not checkers.